Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode number 18 of Discover Joyous Love. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco, and our topic today is how do we live in the sensuality of life? That is a loaded, broad term, the sensuality of life. As most people think of sensuality, they think of the bedroom and sex, but that is not where your sensual life begins. That is only a part of it. But let me start with my books. The Live Free book here, number one. Wait a minute. There we go. Live Free is how I have attained my sensual humanness, making love to life by becoming free from all of the, or not all, but transforming into a more higher power. This book is available on Amazon. TantraWisdom.com is my work. How I have become centrally connected to the feelings, with my own feelings, to the relationship of the self, how I have let go of anger and victimization, and how I live and receive the pleasures that life has to offer. That even includes a great meal. That even includes going to a yoga class. Whatever it is, sensuality exists in all areas of your life. And my other book is The Donna Gentile Story, which is a true crime story also available on Amazon, about a woman who was silenced, who found her sensuality through the love of a horse and becoming a resilient woman at the age of 22. This is a 1985 San Diego story, but you can pick it up and read all about it. It's a great read. I have been told many times already, and I have testimonies to that. But right now, we're going to get on with this topic of talking about, first I want to start with is that sensuality. If you have anger and you're holding on to anger and you're holding on to feelings of the past that you can't let go of, neglect, abandonment, or you think the world owes you and you just want people to feel bad for you, well, you're not living in the sensuality of life. You're actually cutting yourself off from the beauty, the pleasure, and the love of life. So sensuality is about making love to life and finding those moments to harness it, whether it be, at the seashore and indulging into the ocean, or in some great food, or even gambling is fun. It's a pleasure. Whatever the pleasure is that you seek is the sensuality of life. It doesn't begin in the bedroom. So let me give to you what I have for you today. I'll tell you one of my favorite and most accomplished sensual moments is dancing. Wild Dance Fitness is .com. I have that domain. It's a trademark of mine. I've learned to express myself and open my body to pleasure through dance. And that reduced armor and pain from growing up in a dysfunctional family. And it helped me to let go of victimization. And that is what I have found to be the most sensual thing that I honor and cherish and indulge in, is dancing for life, celebrating life through dance. So let's for a moment take the time to sit down and figure out what is sensual to you. And I don't mean sex, and I don't mean the bedroom. It's often understood in that way. But that is not what it is. Being mindful of the body, the soul, the spirit is where your sensuality lives. How do we live in the sensuality of life? So it's about letting go of the anger, right? We're all born sensual. We're all born innocent. But we come into this world and we are faced with, many different things in life, experiences, role models, and what happens is we lose that sensual, that innocence. We can become armored. We can become frozen. And so as we navigate through life, we start to give up certain parts of the self, because the self is what you're trying to protect for years. But what you're actually giving up is the love that lives in your body, the love, the pleasure of life, the pleasurable moments. And so when you go out to enjoy something, you may be the type that is only enjoying it halfway. Or you may have negative comments about, say, for example, you go out to a great meal and the food is delicious, but you put it down. You're negative about it. You live in a negative mindset and everything around you becomes negative. So you're cutting off your sensual being. And the sensual being is the senses of the body. How alive are your senses? Are you moving? The senses are the vibration, sensory perception, and it all connects to your nervous system and the intuition and the perceptiveness, and it makes you much, much more aware. So part of being sensational inside is about being perceptive. It sharpens your perception and intuition. So how productive are you with your senses? How productive are you? Are you working your senses every day to be a better person, to be the better person that you can be? Being sensual is the creative to your soul. So to open up your creativeness, of course, the right and left brain need to interact for creative stimulation, for creative success. But if you're, again, a negative person and not leaning more toward the positive of life, but leaning more toward the negative with the negative head chatter, then your senses will be diminished. And when the senses die, this affects all parts of your life, even your sexual life. And disease can set in the body because you're so used to being angry and living in hate or being miserable and staying connected to that. And it's easy for people to fall into that, that pattern. So we want to break these patterns. Let's open the senses today, huh? We'll show you how you can do that. Can you lose your sensuality? Absolutely, you can lose your sensuality, your touch to life, your connectedness to the heart and to love. And again, this will eventually affect the sexual life, the romance life, the intimacy that you so desire. Why are people not having trouble in relationships? They're not intimate. They're not able to connect. They're not able to stay long term. They run away. They have a lot of fear and shame and hiding. It's because they're not connected to the sensual of life. And again, it has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with your heart, your power, your aliveness, and how positive are you with waking up every day and going to work. Some people, they put on a negative headset immediately the moment they're out of bed. They hate life. They don't want to get up, and work sucks. But if you change that way of thinking, restructure your cognition and change that way of thinking, life can be very sensual in so many ways. It's not about sex again, about the creative. Sensuality is a health modality, and it's about developing your capacity to enjoy life and all its pleasures. So a person who lives in life where pleasure is welcome. So do you welcome pleasure? Do you welcome love? When your friends come to you and they're very positive about some of the experiences or the things that they're doing or the things they're creating and the places they're traveling and the new loves that are coming into their life, and are you negative to that? So how open are you to welcoming pleasure in what you're hearing from others and opening yourself to receive? So it's really about receiving and giving. Are you open to receive pleasure? Owning your sexual, spiritual wholeness. And how do you own your sexual and spiritual wholeness? You stay connected to the positive sensualness of life, which means that you start to like things. You think more positive. You let go of the anger and the hate. The frozen armor in the body, the split that you're living will unfold, and a new you will be present. Looking at the ocean is very sensual. Connecting to nature is very sensual. Just walking along the beach and having the sand rub up against your feet, or even in bed when the sheets rub up against your body. This is accessing your sensual potential. Accessing your sensual potential. It's opening up to higher senses, okay? So the senses in the brain, they have all these neuroreceptors, the oxytocin, all the different things that connect to your nervous system and the cells of the body. So the more sensual we are connected, the more sensually we are living our lives, the more healthy we are in the medical sense. Some people are faced with debilitating diseases such as cancer and arthritis and many other diseases, like kidney disease that can affect. Somewhere along the line, they shut down in their body from the love of life, the sensualness to life, and disease will set in, as Louise Hay says, and you can look up louisehay.com, that your body is connected. Your happiness and disease comes from the emotional state that you are living. What is that emotional state? Sensuality emanates from the heart space. So again, we have this heart here, right? This heart, and this heart space needs to live. I know we protect ourselves because the heart holds the higher power of feeling and emotion and love. But again, you have to have healthy boundaries in anything that you do these days. So as long as you can have healthy boundaries, it is okay to take that step out and open up to your sensuality. How to be a sensual human? By gifting yourself with abundance of connection, love, adoration, healing. There's many ways to become this, what we call this sensual human, making love to life. Are you able to receive is the question. Are you more of a giver? Are you able to receive? And if you're not able to receive, we need to work on learning how to open up to receiving. And this takes a lot of breathing work. It takes working on your emotions through some primal scream therapy, different types of therapy that are available out there. And I can help you because I'm a love and relationship coach, therapist, psychotherapist. I practice Dr. Wilhelm Reich's work, orgonomy, somatic therapy. Sensuality is measured in your self-worth. If you don't have a self-worth and you have a low self-esteem, that means you're not positive and you are sitting in the lower chakra of the body. Anger, fear, sadness. The sadness needs to come out because the sadness is the emotion of healing, the emotion of power, the emotion of creativity. And when the sadness surfaces, that's when you need to start to recreate your life and harness that, because that sadness is your power. That's the undoing of the pain. Accepting and being in delight in what you receive. So people give you a gift. Do you accept it with love, or do you judge the gift? You don't like the gift. Or I know growing up, I'm sorry to say this, but every gift I ever gave my mom, she never liked. She always had judgment about it. But then she was a person who had a lot of hate and pain and didn't know how to move on from that. And so, of course, I took the other road to life to learn how to let go of the pain. And some people will judge everything. If you're a judgmental type person or belittling people or condescending, then you are not living the sensual pleasures of life, which means that I don't know how you enjoy a good meal or a great chocolate or even a glass of lovely wine or the libations of life or anything, not necessarily that, but how do you enjoy and taste with your senses that lovely piece of chocolate? With open sensuality, accepting and being in delight in what you receive, the universe is fully received by you. But with open sensuality, the universe is fully received by you. You embrace the gift of life. So you are actually, it is collective. It is a collective sense. You are embraced and received. And from the sensuality of life. So the more you open up to receive it, you are embraced. And collectively, you are received. And it is collective. So you have to look at the higher power of energy when you are working with your body. Stop limiting yourself to from here to there. Open up your power. See the bigger picture is what I'm saying, folks. Sensuality starts with a heightened sense of awareness. Again, the more sensual you are, the more you receive, the more open you are to love, the more open you are to the pleasures of life, enjoying everything that you do. And I'm not saying you have to enjoy everything. I know there's days you have your days, but I enjoy getting up. I enjoy cleaning. I enjoy going to work. I enjoy, even though going to the gym is such a chore, and there are days that I kind of, feel like it's too much of a chore, continually going. It's discipline. And sensuality requires a discipline of love that you need to begin to embrace. A discipline of love for yourself, for life. So it starts with this sense of awareness and presence to pleasure. It's not just in your bedroom, but in all areas of your life. So get off that bedroom page, folks. But it can only, the love that you have for life can only make your life, your bedroom life, your relationship life, your intimate life much more extended, expanded, and powerful. So in this day, today, what I'm going to ask you to do is start to track your body, start to breathe, start to notice exactly from the ankles up, scanning the body, what you're feeling. Close your eyes and scan your whole body and in certain areas and ask the body, what is it feeling? Because the feeling is in the body. It's not in the head, and it's not just in the organs. Now, for women, I just wanted to get on for women for a moment. Without apology or shame, enjoying the pleasures of life, whatever that is for you. So a lot of women have a lot of shame and apologies. Even they want to dress a certain way. But the way we experience our sensuality is I can experience my sensuality by going to get my nails done, by going to the spa and having a great massage, by diving into the ocean and taking in the sun, embracing. This is sensual. Folks, this is the sensual of life. And all of this continually shapes who you are over time. So for women, because the sensual and the sexual objectification of a woman is so present in our world, women sometimes can cut themselves off from the sensual in certain ways because of shame or feeling that they have to be apologetic. But remember, we are finding our sensuality in many ways: taking a yoga class, getting your nails done, buying a beautiful dress, shopping, going in and out of stores, buying accessories to a dress. That's sensual. So for women, it's a little bit more work to maintain that, I believe. I believe it is for men as well, because men are shut down, but they're much more aggressive in doing things in the way of expressing things that could be sensual in nature. So you want to show your soul. And again, remember, there's no right or wrong with any of these things. There's no right or wrong. We just want to show the soul. Okay, and living the soul. Now, I know when I did my thesis for my master's degree in psychology at Ryokan College in Los Angeles, for my thesis, instead of writing a project, I did a whole dance piece for the class. And it was called My Soul, something to that nature. And I was showing the people my soul. And I remember it was a little bit challenging for me to really come out and express myself, even in the dance that I had been trained in the movement, the improvisation. Dance movement is what it was that I did. A dance movement piece was improvisational movement. But it was even hard for me to unfold that and come out to show my soul. Maybe because I wasn't ready, or because I was a female, or whatever it was, but it was the thesis for the beginning of my liberation, my spiritual liberation. And of course, my psychology master's degree program class gave me a standing ovation, which was wonderful. Self-empowerment. Now, let's get on with the self-empowerment here. It begins with self-love. We must connect, have this relationship to our own feelings, self-love, acceptance, and understanding your uniqueness. You're unique. You're who you are. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be different. Accept that uniqueness about you. I know sometimes the uniqueness, we feel judged by others because we are living in who we are. We want to be who we are. But we have to face the world, right? And we sometimes fall into that old headset of shame. But I'm here to tell you that you are fully liberated. Being who you are is just who I'd like to see. What brings you joy? That is your question for this week. your homework. What brings you joy? What brings me joy is when I can move my body and dance and feel all my senses vibrating and alive and moving. And just like I did we had a parade here last week, and I was out there dancing, and it's on my YouTube channel. And I just felt so alive. Every sense of me was vibrating. And that was like a rebirth. I was being reborn. And when I dance and my sensual comes alive, I am being reborn. I am mediating my aging process. And I feel like I'm just anew again. Being honest with yourself. Are you really honest with yourself? Letting go of the binding self, of denial behaviors. Oh, those denial behaviors that keep governing our brain body, our brain, that keep wanting to get in the way of who your real innocent, sensual person is. Boundaries, connecting to the nature. So again, how do you connect? I mean, how do you become sensual? Connect to nature, get out there, take a yoga class, living vibrantly, going to the gym, taking, all kinds of classes out there, dance, martial arts, breathing in itself, standing and looking at the ocean, just looking at the ocean. It's one of the most sensual things that I can share with you. And I don't know that you know that is sensual. Massage, all of those things, going to the spa, getting your nails done. And for men too, men and women, all of this is just learning to connect with that sensual being. Now, what is the portal between creativity and confidence? So again, being sensual is being creative, but being confident and having the courage to express who you are, to be who you are, to love yourself, to connect, have the relationship to your own feelings, to show the world, I can receive. This takes confidence. You need to do the work. Sensuality lives in silence. So sensuality is fluid in nature. It is silence. It is slow. It is not that aggressive New York mentality, which I'll be in New York tomorrow, but it is not that New York mentality that has you running and aggressively just stomping over people, ignoring the feelings, ignoring the moments. So sensuality is a slowness, a slowing down. It is capturing the moments and harnessing in the moments. It is fluid in nature. It is listening to the inner self. It's meditative. It's meditative in its own way. So if you're even cooking at home, say, that's very meditative. I find that to be very meditative, to cook. And then finding the silence in the taste while I'm tasting the food as I'm cooking it, finding that silence in there and what's happening in that sacred space, always building that divinity, that space around you. So the space around you is very, very important for divinity, for sacredness. And so this is where I come in with the Tantra work, teaching people how to build that divine sacred bubble between their significant other. But it begins with the objective nature around you first, having that sacred divinity. So finding the silence, listening to the body rather than pushing the body, listening, slowing down, very sensual. And then you'll find that one day your sexuality life, your romance life, your intimate bonding, connecting life will be much more freer and easier and less fearful, because people get in relationships, they have fear of commitment, fear of getting close, or resurfacing all the old pain that comes up once you start to open up to love. Those old feelings from childhood that you've never worked out, they surface. And so there's where you need to get the therapy. So this fluid, and that's the dance of fluid nature, right? The dance of life. Won't you dance with me in this fluid moment of the sensuality of life? Noticing your body sensation. Again, connecting. What are you feeling? Do you feel in your body? Some people ignore the feelings in the body. Feeling the texture, again, like I said, of maybe walking on sand or, when you're walking on sand or when the sheets rub up against you, which I've already mentioned that, but feeling and connecting to the texture of something that is maybe the clothing you're wearing, feeling and connecting to the texture of the way the suit or the shirt feels on your body. absorbing a hug. So a melting hug when you hug someone. Now, not a lover, but anyone. It is very sensual in nature. It is fluid. It is slowing down. It is, again, melting into the sensual for a moment, the sensual of life. Joy is always in the body. Joy lives in your body. But if you're hanging on and connected to anger and denial and judgment and that kind of personality and politics and hate, you're missing out on this, how to live your life sensually, right? How to live. Our topic is, how do we live in the sensuality of life? So now I have a little bit more for you. In a relationship, the sensual, the energy, in both directions, must be in both directions so as to serve both parties. So the sensual energy, it's like the polarities coming together, the male and the female, they must go back and forth in both directions so as to serve the both parties. And once you learn the authenticity that we sense that is in others, so you will learn what the authenticity is that you're sensing in another, becoming the authentic human being, loving authentically from the realness, from the truth. And how do you get to the truth? That's part of your higher power, right? You got to do the work. You really have to do the work, folks. How are you emotionally supported in life is another sensual idea. How are you emotionally supported? Are you taking care of your own emotions? Do you have a supportive group of family and friends where you support each other's emotions positively, that is, not negatively? And discover the authentic sexual expression. So the emotions need to be supported in order to discover the authentic self, thus the authentic sexual human being. Sensual is not always sexual, and sexual is not always sensual. So let's get that clear. Sensual is not always sexual, and sexual is not always sensual. Being in tune with sensuality can awaken your sexuality. So as time goes on, you can become more of a sexual human being. Now, a lot of people, come to me and I'm working with love and relationship coaching, relationship sexuality, and they feel deadened in their senses, and they feel like they don't have that sexual drive, or they're just they've lost it, men or women. And it's because the senses, and in Tantra we teach you how to open your senses through dance, movement, communication, even just gentle touch on the body, eye gazing. So you want to undo some armor, getting in touch with the chakras and opening the chakras. And so once we are allowing ourselves to open the senses further and vibrate through that, there's this reservoir that lives within inside your body that you can open up to. And once this reservoir is open, then you will understand the truth of who you really are. When we limit the mind, the senses, they can dial down. So again, try not to live in the rigidity of life, but rather live in the heart of life, because then you become more armored. And again, sexual energy, or at least, I didn't say this yet, is the life force. It is the chi. It is the sexual energy that needs to align with the rest of your body so that you can be more successful in whatever it is that you choose as a career in life. You can be more successful in many different areas of your life if you stay connected to the sexual power of energy. But how do you do that? You have to open yourself up to the higher power of your senses. And that involves thinking positive. And when we're not thinking positive and we're negative, we diminish. We dial down in who we really are. Music is very sensual. Listening to music, going to concerts, singing yourself, or studying an instrument. This is all very sensual. The idea of life, right? And what is the payoff? You become aligned in the body, mind, soul, spirit, somatic, emotional self. You have better physical health, better medical health. You're not being you're being governed by what feels good rather than hate, rather than negativity. How much are you willing to feel of yourself? How much are you willing to feel of yourself? Accepting yourself as being fully alive and liberated, not to like you have to work, not just accepting yourself to be fully alive and liberated. How much of yourself are you willing to feel? And I will leave you on that. Thank you for tuning in to Discover Joyous Love. I've been your host, Anita DeFrancesco. This is episode 18. And our topic today is how do we live the sensuality of life? And you can find me at tantrawisdom.com and thedonnagentilestory.com.